Gonna be also getting right now and needing the Red's Blinder for the games, so that you are not gonna be spoiled how long it's going to be. But nonetheless, there we go. So let's do some games from 2005. This was played on 2nd January. I think you know that year. 2nd January 2005. Yes, No and Melancholy versus Ourk. So not entirely names that you necessarily need any kind of explanation or introduction. Especially Ourk, for example. Lately, if you are paying some attention to Age of Empires 4, he is back to a pretty solid like action and form in that game, as you're gonna be playing on Tundra here with Thor in his hands, and on the other side it's going to be Melancholy from Live 4, who is gonna be playing with the Hades. So this is gonna be of course quite a decent map. Overall, quite a nice hunt for the North. He's gonna be always quite a bit happy with that, with of course the gold mine apparently quite a nice respawn as well for him. As then for Melancholy, it is going to be resulting into nothing too much more here. Wars, even though it's a bit of a forward gold mine, it doesn't seem too terrible. The obviously forest fire here is gonna be making it considerably worse, and get the random positions of the forest here. Yep, original map spawns, classic like that. As you by the way switching into Titans, this is not vanilla anymore, as was the first game. No, but Sentinels, for example, that's gonna be here, there. All the gold is gonna be still kind of not great. I can certainly see some issues with it. Few Aurochs here at the back still as well. No, and we're gonna be getting some relics, just gonna be Scales of Kotoblepas, and on top of it, it's gonna be Eye of Ornlu, which is at least somewhat more helpful thing here, even though not entirely for the Hades until a bit later, but still against the Norse, the Hippaspis bonus is somewhat nice. Millions of hunt in the middle, classic Tundra of course, as usual. Classic Tundranos. No, that's nice to see. You can see how he's quite nicely spread in the goats. And that's something we actually had to teach people today. They completely forgot all of that. And you can see 20 years ago people already knew how to behave. But everybody just got lazy, even though pretending to be top level experts. But we had to be teaching them through our streams and scolding them all the time that this is the way to do it. Nice. No, you can see on the other side Melancholy is gonna be in the apparently same level, but Ourk was smart, seems like already back then. No, and otherwise for the further DCs and resources, you can see that the town center therefore is going to be fairly safe, but not without any kind of like huge importance. And does it feel only to me, or are there way more elevations on the maps here than on the maps that we are used to now? I'm fairly certain that yes, that the hills are quite a bit bigger here. I think the elevation has been quite a bit leveled on the balance patch maps. I think it was mentioned somewhere. I'm not sure entirely which patch it was that actually removed some of the extremes. But nonetheless, it really seems and feels a bit different, right, with the big hills all around. Doesn't entirely change too much because the elevation bonus that you have in this game is fairly restricted. You need to be having huge mountains for that to work. So I'm not entirely certain that even for example, something like this is going to be enough. Even though it might be getting a bit close, because this is quite a bit of a steep cliff. All across and all around. As you can see right now, of course, on the left. You're gonna be there for advancing when with Melancholy, for example. 164 now, we are already at 3.5 minutes, so it's gonna be very late advance, it looks to me, from him. Yeah, elevation bonus, getting high attack by, I think it's 25%. As only bonus. As opposed to Age of Empires 2, that's only bonus in Age of Mythology. In AoE 2 you are having also malus if you are downwards, so therefore it's basically like double. 2 in 1. Whereas in AoM we are only having the bonus from above. The unit from the bottom is having still the same damage. But as I said, you need to be having really large elevation, about 4 levels. I'm not entirely certain about how much the one level is, but it's a lot. It's not a small thing. It's not a small thing, and that's why it comes into gameplay very rarely. And it's much important in AoM, and you can see we're gonna be there for already probably advancing. I'm thinking for Ourk, right? With Freya, he's gonna be still at about 5:15. Yeah, well, we were advancing quite a bit later back than usually. Even though in the previous game we have seen a bit quicker one. Here it's not going to be entirely too bad at all. Not too bad at all. So you're gonna be there for having...
Escape on?
No, is he knowing about him? He doesn't probably. Unless he has noticed right now this Caribou that he doesn't have actually health bars.
Clear that.
And then possibly he could be already knowing. Not entirely certain. No, it was 2 years after really, so obviously he will be already knowing that it's actually a thing. So I guess he's gonna be having some idea. But Freya on there, Melancholy is going to be advancing through Athena and already Wallen. You can see his towers off. He's well there. Nonsense will be coming. Wow, compare that with, for example, today's chips, right? Or houses around. He's just gonna go in for a classic Wallen. It's so cute. Imagine somebody doing that today. People are just gonna be dropping a few chips there to save the resources. But there we go. You're gonna be there for through. So of course on the other side already dropping quite a bit of an aggressive longhouse. With forest fire to kind of cinch slightly a few hair off the villager's back. On the backs, but nothing too serious. So the acid hunt on that was always going to be removed from the purview of Melancholy. They're gonna be having right now some Ourk and immediate tower for the defense. Can say now, even before he's gonna be having archery range, the first thing after advance it's gonna be tower upgrade. Oh, unfortunately the forest is gonna be way too close, so therefore 2 houses gone. That's actually pretty stupid for him. He's still not going to be housed immediately, but losing that wood and the villager time is going to definitely suck quite a lot. Quite a lot indeed. As you can see now, this is going to be therefore resulting into... Oh, what was that relic? That was the Eye of Orno. Now, at least it's not gonna be bonus for the throwing axeman on the other side. Otherwise, it seems like it's gonna be even classic combination that we have today. 1 unit of each. For the other side, it looks like classic Herseers together with cavalry and Ulfsarks, both, or... It's gonna be probably just the starting Ulfsark, right? Yeah, throwing axeman and cavalry. And it's gonna be a classic combination, but you can say now 73 pop limit for Ourk. Melancholy is gonna be at 37. He's having like half the pop limit currently of Ourk. Well, we can definitely right now start to see what maybe the description is all about. And by the way, Ourk, looking at the ratings, you do have that on RTS-Sanctuary. Ourk was here 2000 and Melancholy was 1963. So basically they are similar level players. You can say now how the matchup was perceived back then and how it was played on the original game. This was of course the Ansalus Studios 103, the latest patch for the Titans. 53, you know. Didn't even actually manage to put back home that relic. Or maybe now you can. You are having a bit of time for that, but he doesn't seem to be entirely too interested. No, and of course the raiding comes, and the problem is that currently the Hades is not gonna be able to raid too much. You can see therefore it's gonna be resulting into Ourk even further exacerbating his advantage because of more and more hunt that he's going to be able to get. No, and farming obviously having to do not too many goats in the first place, and currently it's gonna be resulting into just a very open wood line, and I'm thinking that blue is gonna be having quite an easy time to discover that and do a few quite a bit nasty things to it. Quite a bit nasty things to it indeed. Okay, there's gonna be actually fairly quick armory coming here from Ourk, so let's see if he's gonna be trying to get some upgrades, because for example in the vanilla game we have seen it fairly clearly that that was the thing. They were getting the upgrades very soon, not entirely waiting for those too much. You can say it now. Basically no resources, and he's gonna be currently popped, so it's quite a bit reasonable. Even though today people will be rather rushing into the next age than anything else, as restoration is him, but unfortunately he didn't entirely see the cavalry from behind, and therefore at this point he's screwed. At this point Melancholy is completely done for, because he's gonna be losing the whole army. That's a fairly decent maneuvering by Ourk to try and block the path in. No, and currently with pop limit for Ourk, getting some further things, Melancholy is gonna be 73 pop. I'm thinking that we can probably see on a similar high level that this should be fairly, yeah, probably even impossible for Melancholy to get back from. So at this point Ourk can just like hang behind or hang around and wait a bit to get some upgrades possible and clean it up. But I don't think he even needs to be waiting at all. He just basically should be going forward and basically clear the game in full. Thinking it to be a decent plan. Obviously, another problem is going to be the gold. We are still having about 1400, which is gonna be lasting him for a few minutes. But as soon as he's gonna be needing to move somewhere else, on Tundra, it's gonna be even worse, because of course all the gold mines in 1v1 are going to be in the middle, as opposed to team games. So as soon as you are not basically in a decent spot, somewhere about 12-13 minutes, where you need to be moving into the next gold mine, then you're gonna be pretty much done, because you're not gonna be able to get out of your base at all at that point. Bit interesting is that actually Melancholy never cast the sentinels, even when he was under the attack. Can see right now you can be therefore getting the spawn into those spots. Will be probably missing the one to the top side, even though maybe he'll be getting lucky enough that the sentinel will be spawning a bit further. Possibility is always there. You can see, of course, losing the TC. I'm frankly thinking that plenty of people will be already resigning after that initial battle. For a pretty good reason, to be honest, but you can see Melancholy is still kind of trying to prove a point here. That maybe there is something to be done. Kind of probably used to all the abuse from the Thors in the olden days. But with the town center right next to his base, it's gonna be pretty hard, because Ourk has a spot where he can be falling back to, and from which he can be, of course, starting some raids and everything. It's gonna be pretty, I'm thinking, impossible to even hope for something better. And Ourk should be also stockpiling resources. He's having the second TC, he's having medium raider, thundering hooves, double copper already. Oh, the other side, we don't need to be even checking Melancholy what he's going to be having. Maybe at max on the economy. It's gonna be Hendax, pickaxe, and plow. Whereas blue is going to be where? He's going to be Hendax and pickaxe. So at least the economical upgrades are somewhat comparable between them. That is at least a bit of a thing. He actually did manage to amass quite a solid army. You can say now Ourk is gonna be there for popped. Melancholy is going to be also popped. Sure, one less TC, but he's gonna be having advantage of tower. And possibly even some shades might be also coming up. So it's not entirely that simple. But if you're maybe Zeus, you'll be having a chance to possibly pull down the TC. But here, as a Hades, it actually seems to be quite a bit unlikely. Because he's gonna be always able to lure him into a good fighting spot, Ourk. Quite a nice elevation here again. Again, I'm thinking this shouldn't be still enough for the hill bonus, but I'm thinking that... No, it's at least somewhat close. It probably won't be mattering that much. You can see medium infantry and archers for Melancholy. He's gonna be getting ready for even the heroic age here. So in the end, for how terrible it looked for him for a long time, you know, the charge from the other side, it's not entirely that completely clueless and baseless to be continued a bit longer. And if it wasn't for the second TC, if it wasn't for second TC, then, or the variant, then Ourk would be probably heroic age already by now. So it's kind of like an easy thing to maybe imagine, but it's not entirely making that much of a sense that way. And yeah, of course, it's gonna be the whole army right now gone. I'm thinking gold is gone, and he doesn't have a chance to go elsewhere. As you can see, he tried, but Ourk is gonna be all over him here to the south. So that's looking to me that we are heading into the last seconds, but still the losses are entirely that inconsequential for Ourk. So we'll have his point of view, but the economy is apparently working pretty well, and that's of course where Melancholy is gonna be having to give up. It was quite a bit of a tough matchup apparently for him, and Ourk played it pretty well. Just kinda like knew what to afford and knew what to wait for, just didn't make any kind of single mistake, and of course the perfect execution led straight into the victory. Okay, so let's have a look into post-game. That's going to be there for a clear win here. With about 700 there. All the resources, that's going to be of course a huge advantage for Ourk as well. That's going to be for 3A, that's 1900, 5-2, about like 800 resources more for Ourk. Looks like. It's going to be of course the bonus from the hunt mostly. As it really does make for quite a few hundred resources very quickly. We have seen that somewhere, maybe on Wednesday actually, when we were doing community games, if I'm not mistaken. No, and GG.